we're not the only ones marking the third anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe v. Wade. Earlier today, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had this to say.
These anti-choice fanatics will stop at nothing. They don't think their work is finished, even after such a horrible and wide-ranging decision as Dobbs. Reproductive freedom is under attack on all sides. Extremists are banning and restricting abortion, criminalizing providers, defunding care, and interfering with life-saving medicines.
Well, here's the reality. Despite the historic Dobbs decision, the number of abortions in the U.S. has actually increased. Yes, you heard me right. It's increased. According to the Guttmacher Institute, formerly the research arm of Planned Parenthood, there were an estimated 1,032,100 abortions in the year 2023. Now, that's the most recent year for which data is available. Now, that's a significant rise from the 930,160 abortions in 2021, the year before Roe was overturned. Now, this increase has occurred even though 41 states have laws on the books that offer varying degrees of protection for unborn children and their mothers. So, how is this happening? Well, the answer points to the dramatic rise in the chemical abortions, the use of the abortion pill, which now accounts for 63% of all abortions in the U.S. There are solutions. And joining me now to talk about them, Dr. Albert Mohler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary and host of The Briefing. He's also editor of World Opinions and author of several books, including his latest, Prophet, Priest, and King. Dr. Mohler, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you on the program.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's always great to be with you, and there's always plenty for us to talk about.
It's increasing by the moment. We're marking the third anniversary of, frankly, something that I would say was miraculous, the U.S. Supreme Court overturning 50 years of bad law or decisions, Roe v. Wade. Where are we today when you consider that historic case?
Well, I agree with you that the Dobbs decision 3 years ago was basically a miracle. We're very thankful for it. But that also points to the fact that Roe v. Wade in 1973 was such an atrocity. It is not only bad constitutional interpretation, it's dishonest, and it's deadly. And so the reversal of Roe, I mean, you and I can remember as soon as that was handed down, there was such great hope that it could be reversed. That took a half century. And so the Dobbs decision is a game changer. It returned the question of abortion to the states. I mean, I wish the decision had gone further on the abortion question, but it did return the question to the states. And, you know, it's created a map. We have a red-blue America, we have a pro-life, and we have an avidly pro-abortion America. And the pro-abortion, this is what you heard from Senator Schumer, they're never going to be satisfied until every single abortion at every stage of pregnancy is fully legal and frankly paid for by taxpayers. That the culture of death is real clear about the extremity of its plans. But sadly, what we do have is the wake-up call that technology is also playing a big part here, and that means medication abortion. So now the vast majority of abortions, we believe, are taking place by pills. They're not in abortion clinics, and this is a game changer. And quite honestly, it removes it from public sight. But, you know, it doesn't remove it from federal regulation, and that's where we need to be paying a lot of our attention right now.
Well, you point that out. The mifepristone, one of the elements of the chemical abortions, this is not new. It's been around going back to the year 2000, when that was actually was the Clinton administration first approving it with very strict guidelines. Where you had to have an in-person consultation with a healthcare provider. It was only available up to the 7th week of pregnancy. Fast forward to the Biden administration, they did away with all of those restrictions. No longer did you have to have an in-person consultation, and they even went further during COVID. They got a Department of Justice ruling on the Comstock Act, which prohibited the mailing of abortifacients or anything that would cause an abortion through the mail, saying it doesn't apply in this case. The result has been that this pill is being mailed into all of those states that post Dobbs or post-Roe have pro-life laws. So, I mean, it's almost, Dr. Mohler, it almost reminds me of the story Jesus was talking about in the New Testament, where the house was cleaned, the demonic strongman bound and sent out, and he goes away, and he comes back and he finds the house clean, and he brings 7 more with him. I mean, it's almost as if the latter is worse than the former here.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think of the same kind of New Testament parallel. 1 demon's cast out and 7 demons move in. It's a horrifying thing. And what's really, I think, real clear is that there is a political, legal remedy. If there's the conviction in the White House, there's the possibility of undoing this. You mentioned the Justice Department's, I think, absolutely dishonest evaluation of Comstock. The Trump Justice Department needs to clarify that, correct that right away. And then there's the FDA on the abortion pill. And you mentioned mifepristone particularly. Let me just step back for a moment and say, it's a human pesticide.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fact that here you're talking about a pill that is so powerful that it can interrupt the natural process of a pregnancy and thus kill a fetus and expel it from the woman's body in terms of the regimen, that's horrifying. And so how all of a sudden, you mentioned rightly, all the restrictions that were placed on mifepristone, even by the Clinton administration, only after Dobbs to have the Biden administration undo it. It really is a horrifying situation.
And that's policy.
I'm thankful you're drawing attention to it.
That's policy. And as you pointed out, it could be changed like this. The current administration it would be a start. I mean, I'll be very candid, and I think you agree with me. I know you agree with me. I want to see all abortions outlawed in this country. I want to see every single child, regardless of what zip code they're conceived in, welcomed into this world and protected under our laws. I mean, that's ultimately what we want to see. But we understand it's a process of changing hearts, changing minds. But the law is a tutor. And, for years we fought for and we obtained the as you said, overruling this horrific ruling of Roe v. Wade. So this is where we're at today. Let the states be, examples of others of what happens when you choose life. And I think that's happening, but it's being short-circuited by the fact that the FDA still has Biden-era policies in place.
Well, that's right. And, the president sent some mixed signals on this, on the campaign trail. But I want to say he's taken some concrete actions in defense of life.
Yes.
Since he's been in office.
Yes.
I want him to continue and press that consistently. And by the way, that would not be only a victory for the unborn. That would be a victory for women's health.
That's right.
Because, again, I think all the corners were cut in the ideological push in the Biden administration to just make those pills available.
Well, these pills are dangerous. I mean, not only they kill the baby, but the mothers are at risk. And we've seen an increase in the number of effects upon women. In fact, it's interesting, going back to you mentioned the President Trump when he was running for president. This was an issue. There were 2 women in Georgia that in 2024 that died, and they blamed the pro-life laws in Georgia when in fact these 2 women both had abortion pills. And it was the complications that arose from those abortion pills that led to their unfortunate death. So these are very deadly procedures.
Yeah.
Even Clinton recognized that, as we said, it put in place this medical oversight. So
Can I point out something here?
Yes.
Excuse me. I think, and I appreciate the fact you're going at the arguments from the left. They're so dishonest. So I think you'll agree that the dishonesty is shown in the fact that they say this. Okay, so after Dobbs, a lot of states have taken action, so abortion clinics are closed. Therefore, the pill should be made available widely to all people. Then you point out there are medical problems with the pill, and they come back and say, oh, well, by the way, since you closed the abortion clinics, that still is necessary for a woman to be able to have access to an abortion. So in other words, I think they know how dangerous this pill is. I think that just shows you how intent they are upon making abortion as widely available as possible. I think they know the risks.
The position of the federal government is undermining the states that are protecting the unborn. My home state of
Absolutely.
Louisiana is a perfect example where you have an abortionist in New York mailing in these
That's right.
abortion pills. And in one case, a mother gave it to her pregnant daughter without her knowledge to bring about the abortion. That's one of the concerns of how this abortion pill is being used.
Well, I agree with you entirely that, and by the way, I think the Justice Department desperately must revise its advisory on the Comstock Act. I believe the Comstock Act is precisely the legislation that would say these things can't be shared state to state. I think that that's established law, and that needs to be recognized. If the Justice Department is going to uphold justice, it needs to do that quickly.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Mohler. Can you say that you support the right of the states to protect the unborn and have laws on the books that are pro-life, and at the same time support mailing abortion pills into those states?
It's a grotesque inconsistency, and it is in some cases just sheer political cowardice. I appreciate you calling it out for what it is. We need to make very clear, you're not pro-life if you do not seek to shut down this unconstitutional, illegal business of the abortion pill.
The recent gathering of the Southern Baptist, this was an issue. And in fact, a resolution was passed, if I'm not mistaken, unanimously from the Southern Baptist Convention.
Absolutely. And you know, this is an issue on which evangelical Christians have been awakened now for generations. And I'm glad to say that even when you look at some of the issues in which there can be, I think, some lost ground among evangelicals. I'll tell you, the Southern Baptist Convention is as clear on this issue as it could possibly be, and I think absolutely right. And we need to put the pressure on our government officials to uphold their responsibility. And frankly, even when it comes just to the FDA and this pill, it's malpractice to make this pill available as they have.
It is. Dr. Mohler, we just have a couple minutes left. I want to pivot here for just a moment. Because I think we need to realize that laws are important, and we're going to advocate to change those laws and those policies. But this is a spiritual battle. We see the grip that the spirit of death has upon our country, and that we overturned the law, but we haven't walked this all the way through. The court changed its mind. But we have not walked this all the way through to reestablish the freedom that God has given us to be a nation that embraces life. There is a spiritual battle here that has to be waged, and it can only be waged by the church.
That's absolutely right, Tony. And you know, the culture of death kills, but on the way to killing, it lies. And those lies we just have to expose day after day, and that's what you're doing. I greatly appreciate that. The lies about the pill, the lies about the unborn child, just lies upon lies upon lies on the way to death. And no one said this was going to be easy, but this is the fight we've been called to fight.
I think it's defining. This, to me, is one of those defining issues for our nation. America can't be great until it is first good. We're not going to be politically great. We're not going to be militarily great until we're morally good. And that there's nothing more fundamental than embracing human life created in the image of God.
It's that first order issue, Tony. You know, if we don't get this right, nothing else is going to be right. If we don't know, how in the world do we talk about the principles, for instance, articulated in the Declaration of Independence, if we don't even know who a person is? Yeah. And there's no more basic question. To get this wrong, frankly, nothing else can be right.
Dr. Al Mohler, always great to talk with you and have a conversation about issues that matter greatly. Thanks for joining us.
As always, God bless you, Tony.